So we're here to solve this star battle puzzle by Zoltán called Catch-22. We have this big 2 and this big 2 forming the theme. I'm not going to start in those big regions, so I'm going to start in these smaller regions. This 6-cell region needs to have stars where I've marked them, this 1x2 and this 2x2 box. This 5-cell region has similar constraints, marks off this cell and these 4 cells, but notice this 9th row now has 2 stars marked in those green notes, so this note is actually pushed up, and these cells are removed, and this star is placed for sure. Those eliminations actually in this lower right side give us these 5 cells are where a star is going to go, so there aren't more in this row over here. And there's actually, it looks like a trickier constraint, but another constraint that's key here is we still need to get 3 more cells in this bottom spot. So there's going to be a star in one of these 3 cells, star in one of these 4 cells, and a star down here. So it's not the case that you could take these and still use the space above. So this note I think is critical, and it's because of this region here, which is only in these last 2 columns. So 1, 2, and 2 more is 4 stars in those spaces, so it eliminates the rest. That lives behind this P pentomino up top, which will have to have a star here, put a star in this cell, eliminates this space. So now this has to have these stars in this rightmost column, which moves these notes to the right, to the left, moves this to the left, moves this up. That forces this, because this row is complete down. This star now has to move over here to make this work out. This star also is moved to the left to make things work out. That clears this up. This big 2 now only has 2 cells for stars, so they must be used. And this column is now finished. This column's finished. We're saying we didn't do it at the start of the puzzle, but actually there are 5 regions that are only on the right side of the puzzle, and we've just run into that by marking off these white cells and these white cells. We've got another sort of break-in though to think about, and it looks like that's going to come if I come over to shading from looking at this region now, which is mostly in the first column, has 2 cells that stand out, and that only gets 1 star at most. And that connects with this region, which is in the first column and then in a few of these cells in the second, third, and fourth columns, but there's not a lot of space there. So notice with what I've colored in green, there are a total of 4 stars, and 2 will have to be outside of the space. And it looks like there's even a far more obvious thing that I've missed, but this whole row is actually finished. So not only are there 2 stars outside of the space, but those 2 stars have to go straight away into these cells. And this is actually the space that the stars go in that column. So sometimes we get to harder steps than we need to take, but we still learned a lot to make progress in the puzzle. This second row has just 2 places stars can go into it, so we mark those in. We need to get a star up here somewhere. We still need to get 1 more star down here, but notice that it's in one of these 3 cells for this column, so it's not in this cell. We need to get a star here and here to have that column work out. And actually this column is already finished, so that means this is a placement. We have no star here, but this column needs 2 stars, so it's here and here. Notice this region is finished, so this moves up. That finishes this row, these move down. This is complete. There's 1 place for a star here, 1 place for a star here, and we finish the puzzle. So set of things to work through. I think the key observation was probably what I broke into on this lower right side about there being 6 stars, but exactly a star in these 2 cells, which works with this region to cancel. But if you didn't find that, it looks like I also found what I've colored in green, which could have been a good deduction about 2 stars in these spots, not in this third column, and then 2 more stars in the rest of what's in green. And that also got us to work through. But collectively, seeing that elimination, getting to these 2 stars, got us all the way into the center of the grid. So I guess the catch-22 is, did you make the progress on the right or on the left? But in both cases, it was pretty subtle. So I hope you got something for this video, and we'll see you again soon.